Good? Great. Okay, ready. So this is Parsha Shoftim, and it's also the beginning of Elul, right? And so, as usual, themes are, consistent. They run through the Parsha and the time period of the year. And what we're going to do today is look at a single word in a single pasuk in the Parsha, compare it to that word as it's found in other places, and try to understand what the word means and try to figure out how it is used in this context. Actually, don't look at your notes just yet, okay? So first of all, what we're going to do is look at Perek Yud Ches and Shoftim, and we're going to try to get a sense for the general topic that we're dealing with here, all right? Don't forget, we're in Sefer Devarim. Being in Sefer Devarim means that basically what we're hearing when we hear the Torah being read, what we're reading, are Moshe's speeches, long speeches. The whole Sefer Devarim is essentially a long speech by Moshe Rabbeinu to Am Yisrael before he dies, covering, not reviewing every single mitzvah in the Torah, but covering those areas that really need constant attention. Moshe goes back to, in all kinds of ways, to the times that Am Yisrael lost focus, where they backed away, where they didn't live up to their expectations, telling them how it would be in the future, and reminding them and inspiring them to stay strong and stay attached and stay focused, and don't be disheartened so much even if they have a terrible slump, which we've had. In the end, things will be restored. And there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of chizuk, and a lot of reminders how it's going to be that the Am Yisrael are going to make it through history till the final day that we are waiting for. So that's what a lot of the parsha is about. A lot of the whole sefer is about. And right here in Perek Yud Ches, where you tell me, let's read it together, and you have to read it and the entire sefer, the entire Perek as a unit, okay? Because although it looks like it's talking about two or three different things, it's all one flow. All right. So look at Perek Yud Ches and look at Psukim Aleph through Ches 1 through 8. And clearly it's talking about the Kohanim and the Leviim. It's called Mishpat HaKohanim, the rules or the statutes relating to the Kohanim. So the Kohanim and the Leviim, they do not get a inheritance, right? They do not get a piece of land that they actually own. Okay, of course the Kohanim are part of Shevet Levi. They are Arei Levia, they are cities for Leviim, but they were carved out of the chelek of other tribes. They don't own their own property. But so why not? What is their nachala? Their nachala is the fire offerings, the offerings that they eat. That all of Am Yisrael brings them a portion of most of the karbanos. They eat portions of it. Now, obviously, having a nachala is having a way to support yourself. Having a portion of land it was an agricultural society. Here, they don't have a way to support themselves. They're not given actual land that they own to farm and all that, but they are constantly given from all of Am Yisrael's sustenance. Now, again, Pasuk Beis, he will not have a inheritance, a nachala, a portion among his brethren. Hashem is his inheritance. Hashem hu nachalaso. Right? Hashem is his inheritance. V'zeh yiyeh mishpat hakohanim. And this shall be the due of the Kohanim from the people. And it lists from when we give karbanos, when we slaughter some animals, and we've spoken about that in the past. We've talked about karbanos in the past. It's very important to understand our attitude about karbanos, but we won't review it now. Whenever they slaughter an ox or something from the flocks, it tells you what the Kohen gets. And of course, there's a lot of reasons why the Kohen gets those parts. And in addition to the parts of the korban, they get the grain, the wine, the oil, right? They get the gancha, rashis, the gancha, the tiroshcha, v'tzarecha, the bikurim, the first of everything, right? Of the crops, and of course the first of the shearings of your flocks. So they get a portion of the animals, the wool, the inanimate. They get a portion of the food, non-animal food, vegetable, oil, wine, and grain, and they get animals. Okay, because he ministers before Hashem. And what about the Levium? So it goes a little bit into the Levium ministering also, and they shall eat all these portions. Okay, so that is about take care of the Kohanim and take care of the Levium, because Hashem has spoken to them. They don't have a way other than your gifts, and they're providing a tremendous service. They are providing a tremendous service. They are running the Beis Hamikdash. They are making sure that you have a place to go to, that you can connect, reattach, feel, see the closeness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they're making sure that everything in the Beis Hamikdash is done correctly. And it was very complex, all of the various parts of not just the avoda done in the Mishkan, but everything else around that, the Kohanim and their jobs and when they had to be on call and not on call and all the things they had to do, and keeping the whole complex in order and in shape, running smoothly. Forget about the Karbanos, there was so much else going on. There was the musical aspect of it, there was the Ketoris aspect of it, and the other Kalim that had to be dealt with. There was the managing the crowds, the endless crowds that came, and keeping things running smoothly. There was a lot to do, and all of it together put them in a position where Am Yisrael was meant to be extremely grateful and take care of them. And now right after that, what happens? Look what happens. Now it's almost like a juxtaposition. So start with Pasuk 9. You're going to come into the land, and what are you going to see? All kinds of appalling practices that the nation of the lands are engaged in. All right, passing your son or daughter through fire. You know what that's called? When you pass your son or daughter through fire, the molech, divinations, astrologers, omen readers, sorcerers, animal charmers, oven yedoni, which were skulls and jaws that used to talk. One who consults the dead, all kinds of tumah, black magic type of stuff, superstitious kind of stuff, the occult, all of that. It was loaded. Why were the Ovdei Avodah Zarah so busy with the occult?
Influenced by the people.
Influenced by people. No, why were the Ovdei Avodah Zarah so invested in the world of the occult? All this black magic stuff. Bringing up the dead, giving all kinds of, speaking to skulls, creating omens like witches and all that stuff that we. Fascinated by it?
To be God. To be God.
They wanted to be God?
To do these things like they're crazy.
Why were they so invested in it?
That was the way that they were able to communicate with what they thought was God. They didn't have anything else to understand that.
Was this a way of communicating with God? And if you lived in the ancient world, okay, not this stuff, that was more like the sacrifices they would give and all that. But if you lived in the ancient world, what was your consciousness about God?
Punishing.
First of all, think about it. It's still alive and well today, okay? In the ancient world, God was everywhere. The rock was God, the tree was God, the stream was God, the wind was God. The blowing leaves were, right? The spirit, even the Native Americans. I remember I was in Niagara Falls. And we went to see a video about, the original American Indians, Native Americans. And that just, it was all about that culture where the spirit of the tree, the spirit of the leaves, the spirit of this, everything is God. It's not like today where God doesn't exist, we can't find him anywhere. Everything was God, okay? The Spirit of God was seen being everywhere. And in addition to that, there was not yet the development of science, and their relationship to God, these gods was fear and desperation, because the powers of God were way beyond human powers, and not only they couldn't compete with them, they couldn't predict them. Today the difference is we can't stop a tsunami or a hailstorm or a tornado, but we could predict it and get out of the way. Okay? So there they couldn't predict anything. They didn't know what was going on in terms of, and they were influenced by their fear, and their fear led them to find methods to outmaneuver the gods, to kind of get a sense of what can I protect myself from. What they used to bring up the dead to think about, like, tell us what's going to be, what's going to happen. So they try to bring up the dead. So here we're talking about a world where they are living in paralyzing fear of forces greater than them that they can't escape from and they can't close their eyes to because they're everywhere. Just a quick question, but not.
They didn't relate to one God, it was the spirit.
All the spirits, and all the spirits were very capricious, and they did whatever they wanted, and they really didn't care about people. So they tried to appease them, but they also tried to outmaneuver them. And if any of them could in any way find a way to overcome a god, or to to get the best of a god, and they could take charge, they would do it in a second. They had no love for these gods. They didn't want them. They wanted to find a way to ultimately rebel against them, take that power for themselves, and boot them. Okay? And by the way, Greek mythology way later has tons of stories where if anybody tries to compete with a god, Pegasus, right, trying to get, the gods will find a way to not, first of all, never be defeated, and also to punish a person for even attempting to have some of God's power. So that was the world they came in. Here comes Klal Yisrael, and we have a God who speaks to us, who we can't say really see in a normal type of sight, but we had a vision on Har Sinai. This is an involved God who cares about everything we do, who tells us if you keep the mitzvahs, you'll have your rain, you'll have your crops. It's a very close relationship. As we spoke about it in the time of Nisim and Nevuah, we were like children in our parents' home. Everything is being done for us by our parents. And we also saw God everywhere. That was not different. They saw it in every tree and everything, but their God was confusing, irrational, unpredictable, and cruel. Their gods. And we had a God everywhere also, but involved, watching, caring. In fact, for us, it became like a helicopter parent, right? Like hovering constantly, making sure to continuously point out every little thing we're doing, good or bad. A very, 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 very involved parent who, to the Am Yisrael we'll see, was a little bit, we weren't ready yet to receive so much, so it became also like a parent, like a regular child with a parent. Too much. So what happens? So here Hashem tells us now. So when you come to the land, you're going to see all these abominations. All right? And Pasuk 12, for anyone who does these abominations to Hashem, don't do this as an abomination. Hashem hates this stuff, banishes these nations from before you because of these things. You shall be tamim, whole, trusting in Hashem. Because these nations that you're possessing, they hearken, they listen to astrologers, diviners. But as for you, no, you cannot do this. Hashem is with you. Hashem doesn't want any of this stuff. So now he's juxtaposing a Beis HaMikdash, Kohanim, Leviim, a system that brings us in constant connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, where things are systematized, they make sense. These are the mitzvahs, these are the brachas that come, versus chaos, confusion, fear, and desperation. Okay, now let's
But you look back into Arnos Moab after they had seen all these miracles. And
Had Am Yisrael sing to that?
Had it been Israel sing so low to defecate in front of the Baal Peor.
That was before. That was
before. But this is the generation. This is the one. This people to whom Moshe is speaking. How did they do that? It's just they were so influenced by.
We've spoken about this. We've spoken about this a lot, and we'll get to it soon. Okay. We're going to come back to the fact you're asking this question is so important. It's such a fundamental yesod. Okay, so let's continue. And then you get to Pasuk 15, alrighty? And then in 15, Hashem says, you know what? This is where we're going to start focusing on the one word. He says like this. Hashem didn't, this is not for you, right? So Pasuk 15 says, Navi mikir b'cha me'achecha kamoni yakim lacha Hashem elokecha elav tishman. Forget about all this stuff. There's going to be a Navi that Hashem is going to bring for you, like me, Moshe says, from amongst Am Yisrael. And you should listen to the Navi. The Navi will guide you. Okay, there will always be a Navi, and the Navi will guide you. Now, here's the pasuk. Why will there always be a Navi to guide Am Yisrael? Moshe says, don't get into all this chaos, all this craziness, all this desperation and fear, this behavior. You will have someone who will guide you and tell you what to do step by step and how to do it. Now, why are you going to have a Navi? Because why, even the very fact that Bnei Yisrael are being told you're going to have a Navi with you, like me, to carry you through, is something Bnei Yisrael didn't assume. After Moshe died, why do you think they assumed? Hashem will continue, like in the Midbar, being clearly present among us as he's always been. Moshe was unique. Moshe gave us the Torah, but now that we have a Torah, we'll have some judges, like this parsha starts out to tell us, when we're confused. But Hashem will guide us, and Hashem will, show us through nisim, through open miracles, when we're on the right track, when we're drifting a little bit. Moshe had one capacity to teach us Torah. But who said that there'll be constantly Nevi'im to guide us? And Nevi'im worked alongside the kings, alongside the judges, right? This whole area, this entire office of the Navi, this is not necessarily built into the system. Where did it come from? So here's where the source of having a Navi with us all the time stems from. It stems from the request of Am Yisrael. Kechol asher sha'alta, I'm reading Pasuk 16. Kechol, like everything, asher sha'alta me'im Hashem, that you asked from Hashem, Elokecha, your God, Bechorev, that's Har Sinai, Bayom HaKahal Lamer, the day you were all gathered there together, you said to Hashem, and you said to Moshe, Lo osef l'shmoa et kol Hashem Elokai ve'es ha'esh ha'gdolah hazot lo era od v'lo amos. I can't see this anymore. Too overwhelming. I cannot hear anymore straight from Hashem. I cannot endure this. I will die. Please stop. Am Yisrael asked Hashem to stop speaking to them, and through this great fire, this clear, direct, perception of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they said no. Vayomer Hashem Elai, so Moshe said, at that time when you said to Hashem, please stop talking to us, we're all going to die, we're not ready for this. Okay? Vayomer Hashem Elai, so Hashem said to me, Moshe saying, Heitivu asher daberu, they spoke well. That was good what they said. The fact that they said stop, that is Heitivu, it's good. And you know what I'm going to do? Here's where it comes in. I'll stop, but Navi akim lahem mikerav achehem, a Navi I will establish for them from among their brethren, kamocha, like you, Moshe. It's just Moshe telling Am Yisrael what he just told them, but when Hashem originally said it. V'nasati devarai befiv, and I'm going to put my words in his mouth. V'diber aleihem es kol asher atzavena, and he'll tell them everything that I command him. V'haya ha'ishar lo yishma es devarai asher yidaber b'shmi anochi edrosh mimo, and if somebody doesn't listen to the Navi, that's not a simple thing. There will be terrible consequences if you don't listen to the Navi. Clearly, if you don't listen to the Navi, you drift off into the other options. Okay, now we're going to follow this. Kechol asher, Moshe says, like everything, asher sha'alta me'im Hashem. Those three words. Sha'alta me'im Hashem. We asked it from Hashem. The issue in these words are that Lishol is used thousands of times throughout Tanakh, and Lishol always means we use it as a she'elah, but halachically speaking, to borrow something, to borrow. Now, it's a very strange word. Borrowed me'im Hashem. Kechol asher sha'alta me'im. You borrowed it from Hashem. Now, the word me'im is a very strange word. Me'im means it's with. It's with. So Rav Hirsch, if you look to Rav Hirsch on the bottom, then we'll go back to the other pasuk. Rav Hirsch in Shemos 3:22 explains that whenever the phrase sha'al me'es is used, the relation of the object to its present owner is completely severed. If you borrow something, with sha'alta me'es, you borrow it from, so it means you're taking it and they don't get it anymore. Okay? However, when sha'al me'im is used, it means that although the object is not with the original owner, it still belongs to him. In other words, it reflects a temporary state of transfer where the borrowed object is still im with the owner and will be returned to the owner. Rav Hirsch establishes, and there are many examples of it. So, for example, we're going to try to understand what this means, before you turn the page, look on your notes. It says one of the examples is Shmuel Aleph, Parak Aleph, Pasuk 17, okay, which is Yud Zayin. Hannah prayed for a child. Eli gives her a bracha and says, Vayan Eli Vayomer, after she finishes praying, L'chila Shalom, go in peace, Ve'elokei Yisrael, Yitain esh elasech asher sha'alta me'imo. He will give you your what you asked to borrow from him. Why is this a perfect application of the story of Hannah? Because she gave it back. She gave it back after 2 years, exactly. She asked for a child, to bring a child into this world for the the only exclusive purpose of restoring it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That she could bear an offspring that will live its life as an example of what it means to be completely participating, so to speak, in Hashem's existence, living in the Mishkan, speaking on behalf of Hashem, taking his job very, very, very seriously to guide Am Yisrael to eventually anoint the first and second kings, Shaul and David, completely living in the bubble of Hashem. This was her job. This was what she wanted. So that works perfectly. But how does these two words work in our context? And here's another pasuk. Okay, in Devarim 10, if you look back, pasuk 12, Hashem, we asked something from Hashem. We asked to him, we asked Sha'alta me'im Hashem, we asked to borrow from Hashem something that's still Hashem's. What was that? That he should stop talking. How does that work? But Hashem also asked to borrow something from us. There is a pasuk in Devarim Parak 10, pasuk 12. Va'ata Yisrael, and now Israel. Ma Hashem Elokecha shoel me'imach. What is Hashem borrowing from you? What does Hashem want to borrow from you?
Shoel is borrow.
Shoel means borrow 1,000 times.
Shoel means to
We ask a question and we call it a she'elah. We have a question. But halachically speaking, in terms of transactions, thousands of times, they only use the term she'elah, lish'ol. For example, in the Chumash, the laws of a borrower. If I borrow something and it gets ruined, if I borrow something and it gets lost, it's called the shoel. Okay? So that is the definition, the halachic definition of the word shoel in terms of halacha, transactions. So what is Hashem asking to borrow from us? Ma Hashem l'kecha shoel me'imach. Kiyim liyira es Hashem, nothing but yira shamayim. What does that mean? Hashem is asking to borrow yira shamayim, right? Kiyim liyira es Hashem elokecha, leleches b'chol derachav, walk in all his paths, lava also to love him. That's all. V'lava es Hashem elokecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha, and to serve Hashem with all your heart and all your soul. That's not much. But why the term borrow? This is what we have to analyze. Okay? Hashem is borrowing Yira Shamayim from us, and we're borrowing that Hashem should not speak to us. Again, we say, when you borrow something, sho'el me'im, it means it still remains with Hashem. It's his. We're just borrowing it for a while. We're going to give it back. So we ask Hashem to stop speaking. And that's just a temporary loan. And we're going to give that back. What are we saying? Correct. We're only borrowing, perfect Esther, we're only borrowing this temporary state of disconnection where we can't hear directly from Hashem, where we need a Navi to tell us what Hashem is saying, where we can't bear, we're overwhelmed, we're not well schooled enough in real life and in history to be able to receive everything Hashem has given us in its fullness. It's too much. So we're borrowing a temporary state of separation. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? We are guaranteed in this pasuk. We're guaranteed. Question.
If we had to ask that from Hashem at Har Sinai, when we're at the highest spiritual level, how could we reverse that?
You're asking similar to Bani. How could they do Avodah Zarah when they just saw Hashem? How could we, when we were on the highest spiritual level, say, please stop, and now when we're on such a low level, say, okay, come back? Yeah. We're going to answer those questions. Question?
No.
Question. Okay, now, these are fundamental issues. And you need to understand the foundation here. Otherwise, all these questions don't. It doesn't make sense, and they underpin, these ideas underpin so much of our worldview of what Hashem wants and is waiting from us here. So we were on a high level. We pushed Hashem away. We said, okay, it's temporary. We can't handle it yet. We went and did Avodah Zarah. How's it going to get better? But this pasuk is a promise that Hashem chose these words. You borrowed it from me, which means that you yourselves know, and I guarantee that you're going to return it to me one day. You're going to turn this state of needing to be disconnected, further away, overwhelmed, not able to receive, not able to open yourself to everything. You're going to give that back one day, and you're going to exchange it for what's really mine, which is a total and complete, what we call Hasharas HaShechina, the Shechina pervading our lives, and it being something we can handle. Now here is Medrash Shir HaShirim. I'm going to tell it to you in English. Okay, on Shir HaShirim, the second pasuk. Okay, Shir HaShirim HaShir LeShlomo, and everybody knows when you learn the first pasuk in the Rashi that Shlomo is not referring to Shlomo; it's referring to Hashem. HaMelech ShaHashalom Shalo, the king that Shalom is his, and the whole thing is a love song between Hashem and Am Yisrael. It's written by Shlomo Melech, who lived in the time of course, he built the first Beis HaMikdash, and it was a time of Shechina, and it was a time of Nisim and a Nevuah, all right? But it still was a time where, although there was much more Shechina there, it wasn't Har Sinai, and Kal V'chomer a billion times today. And even in that time, the first thing Shlomo HaMelech says, anyone know Pasuk Beis of Shir HaShirim? Yishakeni meneshikos pihu. Right? Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth. What does Rashi say that means? It's all mashal. Let him speak to me once again, peh el peh, mouth to mouth, as he did at Har Sinai. The first thing Shlomo is yearning for, as Am Yisrael, yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is a restoration of the time where it was, so to speak, mouth to mouth connection, where Hashem will speak to me as he did before. So now, that Rashi, okay, which is drawn from Torah Sheba'al Peh, is applied to this pasuk in our parsha. So here's how it goes, okay? Rabbi Yehuda Omer, this is Shir HaShirim if you want to look it up, 1, 2, okay? Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'shah sheshamu Yisrael anochi Hashem Elokecha. When the Jewish people heard Hashem directly, because remember that they heard directly, that's before they said stop. Nitzka Talmud Torah B'libam. Learning Torah was like rooted. Okay, it was like completely, what's the word? What's a good word for nitzka, my Israelis? Taka. It was inserted absolutely into their hearts. Right? V'hayu lemedim v'lo haya mashkichim. They would learn and never forget. They lo hayu meshakchim. They would not have shikha. They wouldn't forget. Bo etzel Moshe v'amru. So then they came to Moshe and they said, Moshe Rabbeinu. And here's some word. He said, make yourself a shaliach between us. Okay? Make yourself a shaliach. Shenemar, as it says in Shemos later, daber ata imanu v'nishma. You should speak to us and we should hear it. And in Devarim, quotes Devarim Parakeh, va'ata, now, lama namus, why should we die? So what happened when they asked Moshe to be the intermediary? Chazru lihiyos lamedim v'shochachim. They started to learn and forget, which means things were not seared into their head as it was. Ma Moshe basav adam over, just like Moshe who's physical, he passes. Af Talmudo over, so what he taught us passes. Miyad chazru behem bao lehem el Moshe. They immediately came back to Moshe. Amrulo, and they said, Moshe Rabbeinu, please, Levi Yigala lanu pam shniyah. This was a bad idea. Reveal to us Torah one more time. And that's where it says, Levi yishakeni minashikos pihu. Kiss us again with the kisses of your mouth. Levi yitaka talmud Torah b'libeinu kamos shahaya. Let it be one more time. The Torah will be seared into our hearts like it was. Amar lahim. So Moshe said to them, Ein zu achshav. Look, it's not for now. Aval la'asid lavo, but in the future, hu shenemar, as it says in Yirmiyahu, Perak Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Lamed Beis, 31, 32, V'nasati es torasi b'kirbam, I'm going to place my Torah into them, in their essence, va'al libam echtavena, and on their hearts I will engrave it. Okay? And it goes on a little bit. So this is the background to when Am Yisrael were overwhelmed, and they said, we can't, but then they realized that without it, they were floundering. So they came back and asked for it. Moshe said, you will, guaranteed. And Yirmiyahu was the time of the Churban, where they really, really were wishing to restore that what they had. It says, it will be restored, but not for now. So how does this work? Why is there this process? When we're so close, we push away. Okay? And then, when we're far away, we're supposed to want it back? Is that how it works? Yes, that's exactly how it works. And in order to understand that that's how it works, we're going to look back to this pasuk in Devarim, okay, which we quoted in the beginning, right here. There's so many pages here. Okay. I'm missing it. The pasuk in, it should sound very familiar to you here. The pasuk we quoted from Devarim, Parak 10, pasuk 12. V'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha shoel me'imach. What is Hashem borrowing from you? Okay. Kim liyiras Hashem, have yiras Shemayim. Liyiras Hashem Elokecha, lalechas b'chol drachav, walk in His path. V'la'ava oso, to love Him. La'avod es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha, with your whole heart and your whole soul. First we're going to explain b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha, then we're going to understand what Hashem is borrowing from us along the way. Okay? Remember Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, which is also in your notes, and Rashi says there, then it says v'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha, and Rashi says there what on b'chol levavcha? What does Rashi say in b'chol levavcha with the two bases? Yetzer Hatov and the Yetzer Hara. Okay? What does it mean to love Hashem with your Yetzer Hara? Here's Rashi. B'chol levavcha, the form of the noun with two bases instead of the usual libcha with one base suggests love Him with your two inclinations, the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov. What does it mean? How do you love Hashem with the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov? And we started to talk about this. So this is fundamental. Let's just break down the words Yetzer and Tov and Ra. Yetzer means Yotzer, to form something. You take a block of clay and you mold it into something. That's Koach HaYetzira. Every human being is given, is full of, it makes us like God. That's a Tzelem Elokim in us. We always talk about this. Creators, right? We have creative energy. Now, what do we do with that creative energy? Creative energy takes over your whole body. Makes you think, invent things, imagine things, come up with good ideas of how to accomplish things. That's creative. Makes you use your intellect, plot it out, chart it out. It makes you use your heart. It gets involved. You're devoted to it. You're excited about it. You have a desire to see it get done. You throw your passions into it. Your body cooperates. It builds it. It gets there. It collects what you need, puts it together, works on it. Your whole self is consumed in being creative. And we've spoken about this many times, just to mention it for a second. It is our Tzelem Elokim. Hashem is a creator. We are a creator. And if you deny a person the capacity to be who they are and create in their way, you kill them. And before they let you kill them, they will generally try to kill you somehow or another. Or if they can't succeed, they will kill themselves. But that's what happens when you deny a person the right and the courtesy, the dignity of having what to say and what to think and what to understand their way. And in this generation, by the way, this generation, unlike our generation, I mean, I'm speaking in general, but back a little bit, it was, we were, I don't think there was a sense of, as much as today at all, this refusal to accept and conform. There were certain standards, there were certain expectations, there was a way of being and living, certainly as a religious Jew, and you conformed to it. And it didn't matter if someone understood you and your particular individuality or not, you conformed to standards. Today what we see is if a child doesn't feel that they are heard and seen and understood and allowed to express it and ask their questions and work through their particular confusion, if that's shut down forget about it. They will not tolerate that at all. It's a different world. So the idea that a person's a creator is fundamental. Now, we can do two things. We have two options with what to do with our creative energy. And that's what Hashem is asking to borrow here. Okay? But we have to know how it gets better as it gets worse. It always gets better because it gets worse. Yet Tov, Ramban says, in the first time Tov appears in the Torah, Be'er Elokim, as Ki Tov, Ramban says it works. It's permanent. You build it, and it's there, and it's Tov, and it's sustainable, and you can count on it, and you go back to it. It will always be there. It's absolute. It's there for the whole, for the entire...
What's it?
Something that is Tov. So in our case, Torah is Tov. This is it. Torah is Tov. The mitzvahs, stick to them. The ideas, stick to them. They work through every generation, in every situation. Do what the Torah says. But trust it. Just follow the rules of it. It works, okay? But it's a system. It's like lahavdil, a parent feeds their child healthy food and puts them to bed on time and keeps them clean and gives them their shots. And, the kid might not want the shots or want to eat the healthy food or go to sleep on time, but getting the child into a system that works will ensure that they're healthy, that they're functioning, and they could be productive, and they could make the most of their life, okay? So there's a system. You could either use all your creative energy to learn about it, to find ways to apply it, to ways to express it, to devote yourself to mitzvahs, to doing things correctly as they are taught to us to do. Or a person, and this is what happens in the beginning, when we're very young, this is inevitable, this is why they can do Avodah Zarah, this is why they reject Hashem in the beginning, and this is why it gets better as it gets worse. You're young, you're overconfident. I don't need to do it this way, I can do it this way. I get it. I get what you're trying to accomplish. I'll accomplish in my own way. It doesn't matter if I cheat a little bit here. I see it a different way than you. I have my own subjectivity. I'm overwhelmed by your constant instructions. There's too many. I don't need them all. I don't have a minute's break. I have to do things as I feel them. I have to do them okay? We start putting our creative energy into things that we feel are more important, more urgent. Society's telling us they're fun, they're necessary. They feel good at the moment. We start using our creative energy, our whole composite of our brains, our mind, our heart, our soul, everything. We start using it to pursue and invest in things that do not bring us close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't bring us to our mission, and we feel horrible. They don't work. Ra, unlike Tov means it's permanent. It works every time. Ra, and it's ultimately Tov. Ra is like, we talked about this, right? Akisei Ra'ua. The word Ra means, it has a very specific definition. Akisei Ra'ua is a chair with 3 legs. It almost works, but you're going to fall off it, okay? A Sulam Ra'ua is a shaky ladder. You're going to fall off it. You think you're going to get on. Maybe you could climb, it's shaky, and you're going to fall. Ra simply means it doesn't work. You want to go with your passions. You want to vent your anger because psychology said that it's good to vent. Try it. You know what? It just makes you a more miserable, horrible, angry person generally. Disproved. So it was a thought. You know what? When you try it, it doesn't work to make you at peace. It doesn't work to get you better relationships. A person wants to be selfish. A person wants not to keep Shabbos. A person wants not to think that there is a God above who's watching them. A person wants never to pray, never to eat whatever they want, when they want. What kind of person does it turn you into? It doesn't work to make you a person that is conscious of their mission. And we always speak about this here. What does Hashem need from us? If Hashem can't do everything himself, then he's not Hashem. Okay? Why are we here? What does Hashem want, or what does Hashem need that we need to do that he can't do himself? And we've spoken about this. We are the source of recognition. Hashem will not impose upon his own creation the appreciation and the love and the kavod and the recognition of himself. That has to come from us. So he invests in us a huge amount of abilities, and he tells us how best to get to a place where we are the kind of people that recognize that Hashem has bestowed life upon us, given us his crown to place, so to speak, on his head, that we are the source of recognition of Hashem, and Hashem gives us all kinds of mitzvahs, not just to do that. You do that through living a life where all aspects, relationships, business, personal, are opportunities and to show kavod and to get kavod. It's very, very hard to live without getting kavod either. It's not true a person shouldn't want any kavod. That's ridiculous. Hashem says, Hakol bara lechvodo. Everything was created for his kavod, that people should appreciate. When a person does good things, of course they have to be appreciated. And that's why the biggest gift you can give to someone is hear them and see them and appreciate them and acknowledge what they're doing. That's huge. So, what does Hashem ask to borrow from us? Okay, what we're asking to borrow from Hashem is for a while before we grow into that, because, the Yetzer Hara. So what is the Yetzer Hara? The Yetzer Hara is this desire to go down paths that ultimately don't work and make us unfulfilled, unhappy, frustrated, ruin our relationships, make us feel alone, afraid, all geneva, all types of lack of emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which leads to all kinds of fears that I need to ensure my own success, not taking into consideration the rules or the laws, because I'm here alone, and if I don't make it, who's going to make it for me? And no emunah, all this type of thing leads a person down a terrible road, and we've all seen it. So that's the Yetzer Hara, throwing your energies into things that don't work. It's the best teacher in the world. When things don't work, we get upset, we get miserable, our relationships fall apart, we get punished, we walk around with horrible, internally in a horrible place. That's beautiful, that works. We don't like that. We go, this is not working, I gotta change, I gotta find another path. The Yetzer Hara is the best teacher in the world. You could love HaKadosh Baruch Hu with your Yetzer Hara, with throwing your energies into things that don't work and learning from them. Saying, beautiful, I just learned the lesson that when I'm critical of people, or when I insult people, or when I ignore people, I get it back this way, because that's not okay. It's a violation of their kavod. Now I learned the lesson. Right? So that is beautiful. So you love Hashem with everything. Now, so as a person goes down all these bad paths, lots of lessons are learned. And that will bring us to a place where we will say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what we realized? We need you to speak to us directly. We're ready. Tell us clearly, without the confusion, without giving us all, we have gotten to a place, we tried everything through history. 1 million types of governments have tried and failed. Okay? There's unrest everywhere. There's no one. Look at what's going on in the world. We all wish there was just one truth that everybody could easily together agree on and live by, and that would eliminate war and brutality and hatred and all the provocations that we see constantly. There is, but we're just not ready. Some are. Am Yisrael is getting to say, okay, now we're ready for it. Okay, we've tried so much, nothing's working. We will get to a point. Chazal tell us that Mashiach will come when the world gets to a point of total yush. What is yush? Total despair. Nobody's happy. We are living in I don't know, I hope it doesn't get worse. People today are in a terrible state. Relationships and personal. I recently just saw a doctor, and I've heard this from many. They said they've never seen the pathologies, the panic, the anxieties, the depression, the endless opioids, the self-soothing mechanisms, the alcohol, the suicides, the misery. They've never seen. It's rampant, not just in the regular world. It's making inroads in our world. Things are not working. That is the way you say, okay, so now we're ready. We just give up. But it's a beautiful thing when a person or a society finally breaks and says, now we're ready. We're ready to hear. Okay, that is what is that. We hope it doesn't come from pain and suffering, but that is what is first of all guaranteed to Am Yisrael. He said, Hashem says, you're going to get back what you originally weren't ready for. Okay. Second of all, what do I want from you along the way? Ma Hashem lekecha shoam. What do I want? Bar kiyim liyira es Hashem. By the way, all this whole approach is from my grandfather of Shimon Schwab. Everything we're doing here. He says, I want you to offer me, give me a little Yira Shamayim that you have in you, with the capacity to be aware of Hashem and care. And you know what I'm going to do if you give it to me? I am going to give it back to you enlarged, enriched. Offer me a little Yira Shamayim, and you know you're going to get it back 10 times. Try it. Try a little bit of it, and you're going to see you're going to be filled with more. You're going to get chizuk, you're going to get emunah, you're going to get a sense of clarity. What does Yira Shamayim involve? Yira Shamayim just involves play by the rules. Just try to go this time according to the rules, not with all the alternatives. I just It happens a lot. This is a common way to learn this. Everybody's struggling with being healthy and being fit and being thin, correct? And everybody tries their own way, right? This is going to work and that's going to work. And generally, 9 out of 10 say, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this. It all doesn't work. But the real truth is that they don't stick to the rules of one particular system. There are very logical, rational, systems for eating healthy that keep a person fit and not unfortunately finding that this is something out of control, but we don't stick to the actual specifics. We always like to play around a little bit, cut the corners a little bit. Here's your Shemaim says, I'm just going to stick to the system. I'm done with inventing my own. Then Hashem says, you do that, you're going to see it's going to come back at you so much more. So here, you have here the idea that it's disheartening, but it's not disheartening, okay? It's disheartening because we feel, we're so all over the place. But it's not disheartening because we have a guarantee that if you just go by the system, it will work. And you can always go to it. You can always bet. Now, who the smartest person of all people that ever lived tried to cut corners in the system because he knew better. Who are we talking about? So here's the Midrash in Midrash Rabbah about Shlomo. Okay? So Shlomo himself writes in Koheles, which we're learning Wednesday mornings. We're going to resume Yetzer Hashem after Labor Day by Rena Fuchs's house. So Shlomo says, Paniti ani, I turn myself, lirot chachma, v'holelut, v'sichlot, to look at all kinds of wisdom and folly and fantasy. Ki meha adam, what is a person? Sheyavo achrei hamelech, he's going to come after the king, et asher kavar asu, and he's going to try to overturn what he already made. Pasuk hazeh, nemar al Shlomo. Val Moshe. We're just going to talk about Shlomo. It's talking about Shlomo. How is it talking about Shlomo? Kishenasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Torah l'Yisrael, when Hashem gave Torah to Am Yisrael, Nasan ba mitzvahs aseh, mitzvahs lo saseh. Gave us commandments. But Nasan l'melech, miktas mitzvahs. And he gave the melech a few specific mitzvahs. Shenemar, lo yarbe, with the yud, he should not, lo yarbe lo susum v'kesav v'zahav, v'lo yarbe lo nashim. He shouldn't have too many horses and wealth and women. V'lo yasor libo, and his heart won't stray. Amad Shlomo got up. V'hechkim al gzeiraso shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he was smarter. He thought he was smarter than the gezer of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'amar lama amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo yarbe lo nashim. Why did Hashem say he, the king, should not increase women? Lo bishvil shelo yasor levavo. Ani arba v'libi lo yasor. Wasn't it not because his heart shouldn't stray? Lo bishvil. It wasn't for that. It was. It was so the heart shouldn't stray. That's not a problem with me. Not an issue. No worries. Ani arba, I'm going to have more. V'libi lo yasor. My heart won't stray. But it did. Amr Rabbeinu, ba'osa shah. At that moment, also yud shebiyarbe. That yud in the word yarbe went up and appeared before Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'nishtatcha l'fnei Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he basically presented his petition in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'amra, he said, v'amra, she said, Ribon ha'olamim. Lo kein amarta ein os betela min haTorah la'olam. Didn't you say that not a single letter will ever be batul or void from the Torah forever? Hare Shlomo omed u'mevatel osi. Shlomo's being mevatel. He's saying lo yarbe, the word yud, because he meaning others. So Shlomo's saying it's referring to others, but not me. I understand. I'm not in danger. Arbe, I will, with an aleph. The yud is for others. So he says he's saying that this yud doesn't apply to him. So v'shema hayom yavatel achat. So today he'll be mevatel one letter, ulamachar another one, right? He's already figuring that he's above. He can pick and choose. Ad shetidvatel kol haTorah kol. Eventually, the entire Torah is going to be batul. We start doing that. We start being smarter than one mitzvah. Eventually, we're smarter than all the mitzvahs. Amar la Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem said to her, okay, and this is very, very encouraging. Shlomo ve'elef kiyotzevo. Shlomo and Melech and 1,000 like him. Batelim. They could all be batal. V'kutzo mimech eino mevatel. And one little part of the yud, even a little dot of the yud, will never be batal. What that's saying is people who try alternatives will come and go, but the Torah will not. It is always there, and it is secure, and it is tov. It just takes a while for us to learn on-the-job training to direct our Yetzer to the tov, because it's a more effective way to get there than through the Ra. But have no fear. If a person directs it through the Ra, they will get there also. They will get there. The great example of this is, of course, Haman used all his creative energy to undermine the Jews in every way. And Persia used we know countries like this today, their money, their academics, their intelligence, their technology, their manpower, everything. He was using the whole package of creative energy to try to undermine and destroy the Jewish people. But everything he did came back at him to destroy him and enrich and empower the Jewish people. You learn very, very well from your Yetzer Hara. In fact, Moshe Shapiro used to say, and no one would say this if I hadn't heard it from him, he said, think about it. Who actually was more effective in getting Am Yisrael to recommit to Torah? Moshe Rabbeinu or Haman? The answer is Haman. So the Yetzer Hara does a good job. It's not our enemy. It teaches us. So we love Hashem with both, and we get to a point where when it gets really bad, that's when the promise kicks in here. Now you're going to give back your request to me to keep my distance, and you're going to take back the original arrangement, which is a revelation of the Shekhinah. But we have to be ready for it. How do you get ready for it? Again, maybe Yetzer Tov, but maybe Yetzer Hara. There's two ways to get ready for it. The main thing is, does it look like society's getting ready for it? I think so. They might not know it. They might be still casting around for new things that will work better, and going in all kinds of crazy directions. But the crazier it gets, the more the Yetzer Hara is all over the place, leading us in crazy directions, the more brick walls the Yetzer Hara is going to hit, until they hit all the walls, nothing works, and that's it. And then it's time.
You have a beautiful thing that Yetzer Hara and also the Shorish of Re'im Ovid.
That's right.
So you have a
That's
broken
right.
piece, but if you work
That's
together,
right.
husband and wife,
So beautiful.
then you can become best
So
friends.
Ra, it's very interesting. In Hebrew, there's many words that mean one thing and its opposite. A Rea Ahuvim, right, is a closest friend that you can count on all the time, that's there for you, that works. The opposite, because one thing leads to the next. When you see what doesn't work, that leads you to find what does work. And in the end, when all the paths we go down that are our own beliefs that this is what's important in life, and we hit a wall, then, as we said, you go back the other way. Oh, by the way, it's a beautiful idea also. Remember, we just had an eclipse, but think about, it's not the same thing, but the rainbow. Moshe Shapiro also said this. I remember I heard him say this when we were on one of our trips. So it's very interesting. Hashem says, I'm never going to destroy the world again. And here's a siman. Now, the rainbow is a bow. So it always seems it's a siman klal, it's a bad thing. It's like Hashem is going to shoot his bow at us. But the problem is, which way is the bow facing? It's facing towards God, correct? So what does that mean? It's the same idea. Rav Moshe said, and I think it's from somebody said on my table this Shabbos actually. Yeah, live said at the table. It's, I think, a Kli Yakar. It's when it's a bow, and we're holding the arrow. Now what happens, the more you pull it away, what happens? The further and faster and stronger the trajectory is back. That's the same idea. It's the same idea. So, Bezrat Hashem, we should learn from the Tov, we should learn from the Ra. And the main lesson here is, we try, it's Elul, to recommit, to do things the way they're supposed to be done. No cheshbonos, just say, what's the halacha and how do I do it right? That's it. And that goes for ben adam ha'makom, ben adam ha'chaveru. All right, everybody.